Hello, welcome to the Becoming a Modern Man. We are playing Goblins once again, and this time we're running up against a burn deck. So a fairly aggro-centric game. We lost the roll, unfortunately, so our opponent is going to be on the play for this one. See if we can get our opening hand up. So we've got a Bushwhacker, Goblin Pile Driver, Grenade, Double Lightning Bolt. This hand's okay, but it's kind of missing any early action. So I'm kind of tempted to mulligan this. We need another land until we can use the Reckless Bushwhacker, and then obviously we need to use that with like Lightning Bolt or in combination with something like that. I suppose on the draw it's not too bad, but I'm fairly sure I'd take a mulligan to get a more aggressive hand. Maybe we should have kept the other one because this hand is also kind of awkward. You don't really want to run out your Bushwhacker as a 1-drop, which is probably going to happen here. But I suppose we don't really want to go down to 5 either, so it's keepable. We see a Goblin Grenade on top with the Scry. I'm fairly sure we're going to bottom that. Not really interested in having that. We'd rather just get some more goblins to put on the board, and then we can get our Bushwhacker effects going, of which we have many. So our opponent leads off with a Copperline Gorge, attacks with his Monetary Swift Spear. So obviously an aggro deck of some description. So I'm just going to bolt the Swift Spear here, get that out of the way. We don't have any great other plays really, so figure we might as well just kill this creature before it deals too much more damage to us. So do that, pass back. Opponent plays a Bloodstained Mire, doesn't have another play, which is nice. We could draw a Mog Fanatic, which I'm happy to play out. Opponent's just going to bolt our face, crack his Bloodstained Mire, and bolt our face again, which is fine. So they're going to untap. Play an Arid Mesa. And then he suspends the things. We draw into Goblin Chieftain, which is slightly awkward because we don't have that third land. But obviously can be useful if we get once we got that third land, we'll have plenty of action. Obviously the idea here is going to be to Bushwhacker away, and we'll get in for 4 here. So yeah, there's a suspended Riftbolt there. Sorry if I'm a bit bunged up at the moment, got a bit of a cold. So yeah, we're going to get in for 4 here, provided our opponent doesn't have anything further to add. But yeah, we're in a slightly awkward position in the sense that we have a bunch of expensive cards in our hand and not the mana to use them basically. Opponent has a Searing Blade, which you can use to take out the Bushwhacker, so we're only actually going to get in for 2 here, and then the Riftbolt is going to come off suspend next turn. Puts down to 7, opponent has another Bolt, which puts it down to 4, and looks like Boris Charm is going to finish us off here. If we can get that on screen. Yeah, there we go. So there's the Boris Charm, 4 damage, and we're dead. So not the best turn of events. Had a slightly awkward hand, obviously from mulligan, and ideally we want to be on the play in this kind of game, which obviously we'll have the opportunity to be in game 2. So let's get to that game if we can. Okay. So let's see if we can get a good starting hand here. I don't think we've got a ton of sideboard options against Burn. I think we have Dragon's Claw, which is a fairly good card, I suppose. He may also be running Dragon's Claw, I guess. So yeah, we had a nice little hand there. We've got double Mountain we've got Legion Loyalist, Mob Fanatic, Bushwhacker, Goblin Chieftain, and a War Marshal. So yeah, a lot better hand than we had last game. Going to lead off with Legion Loyalist just because it can get in for that point of damage straight off the bat, and then we'll probably follow that up next turn with a War Marshal probably. And then obviously that leads into a Bushwhacker or a big Goblin Chieftain attack. So that all seems fairly good for us. If we draw another 1 mana Goblin, we might consider running out that Fanatic and another one of those. But yeah, our opponent is going to crack an Arid Mesa, get Stomping Ground, and I suppose we're probably expecting a Goblin Guide or a Swift Spear here probably. Probably the best thing to see is just a straightforward burn spell from him. There's fairly confident that our ground game is going to be pretty good. Okay, so we see the Cottle here. So, and we draw another Legion Loyalist. So yeah, fairly happy with playing out the War Marshal here. We can chump block the Cottle if needs be with the War Marshal, because we're not too bothered about that. We're almost certainly not playing Echo next turn. We've just got far many better plays. So it's a slightly defensive play, but we don't have any good attacks either way here. So I think the War Marshal is the best play. We just want to get as many creatures on board, and then Bushwhacker and Chieftain can allow us to swing in pretty hard. Put follows up with a Swift Spear. Cracks the Bloodstain, getting the Sacred Foundry so he can have a 3/3 Nicottle, but just suspends a Rift Bolt there and passes the turn back. So I don't think we're going to be paying Echo here. Let's get an extra Goblin on the board. And now we can play our Chieftain with that extra mountain we drew. So now we've got 3 2/2s. We can think about attacking. Obviously Legion Loyalist's ability, actually we've got 4 2/2s, sorry. Legion Loyalist's ability gives us first strike and trample to all our guys. So we'll be able to kill a Monastery Swift Spear nice and easily. Nicottle obviously can trade, well no, actually can kill off one of our creatures, any one of our creatures, but our opponent's on 13, and if we can get a good amount of damage in, then hopefully the Bushwhacker can just finish them off. So it looks like we're just going to go all in here, which I think is the right play. Obviously if he blocks with a Swift Spear, that's just good for us. Just if he only blocks with Nicottle, then he's going to be taking 6 damage here, which is going to leave him on 7, which is pretty bad for him. He ends up blocking the Legion Loyalist. Surprised he didn't block the Chieftain there. Seems, but I suppose he's going to Rift Bolt the Chieftain. Doesn't make a lot of difference, I suppose, either way. But yeah, so we got in for the 6 there, so he's down to 7. Rift Bolt's probably going to have to go after our creatures rather than at our face, which is always good whenever you got your burn player targeting your creatures and not targeting you. That is always a good position to be in. It just makes it that much harder for them to kill you from there on out. And we will see what our opponent does. Don't know if he's going to be confident enough to attack here really. So there's another Swift Spear there. It's definitely hogging up the ground a little bit. Oh, there's a Goblin Guide. Okay, so he has quite a lot of creatures. And that's the Lava Spike, which currently looks like a Goblin Guide. So I'm going to take 3 here. We're on a nice and healthy 20. Obviously, not having fetch lands in the deck saves our life total quite a bit. Our opponent took quite a lot of pain getting these Stomping Grounds and Sacred Foundries into play, and we just didn't have to deal with that. So our opponent is actually going to attack here, which is fairly brave, I suppose. under the circumstances. So that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I can put me down to 10 and hope that I don't have enough to swing back, I guess. So we draw another Bushwhacker, which is obviously very nice. So if we have a play Legion Loyalist and attack with, and then Bushwhacker and attack, but that will only do 6 points of damage. Fortunately we have the Mog Fanatic in hand, so we can run out the Mog Fanatic, Bushwhacker, hit him for 6, and then sack the Mog Fanatic to do that last point of damage. It doesn't even matter if he blocks the Mog Fanatic or whatever, because obviously whatever creature he blocks isn't going to deal any damage. So yeah, that's our play to win. It's slightly lucky in the sense that it's actually going to add up exactly, and if it hadn't been for the Mog Fanatic we wouldn't have been able to get there, but sometimes you have to have a little bit of luck on your side. And yeah, our opponent obviously sees the situation and concedes there, so yeah, that worked out fairly well for us. Obviously our opponent took quite a lot of pain from his lands, and we were able to use a good draw and Bushwhacker through for the final points of damage there. So let's go on to game 3. See how this one turns out. Okay. It's going to be on the draw again. Obviously not ideal in these fast aggro matchups, but hopefully we can work through that. Okay, so we have a hand that is very one-drop heavy. Foundry Street Denizen ×3, Goblin Guide, Legion Loyalist, and a Lightning Bolt. Only one land, but obviously plenty of action with all our one-drops. So yeah, fairly happy with this. A land and a Bushwhacker is probably all we need to make this hand really, really good. And obviously we've got plenty of fodder for the Foundry Street Denizen to become huge. So opponent leads off with a Copperline Gorge. Goblin Guide allows us to pick up a mountain off the top. We have our Goblin Guide of our own, which we're also going to attack with, just to keep up on attacks. So that's going to put our opponent down to 18. We get around to it. Sorry, things are a little bit slow. There we go. So opponent reveals an Atarka's command, I think. Ugh, very sorry about that. So yeah, opponent reveals an Atarka's command off the top with the Goblin Guide. Goes and gets a Sacred Foundry. Attacks for 2, and then Searing Blazes away my Goblin Guide. Putting this down to 13, so not great position for us. I decided to bolt away the Goblin Guide because it's causing me unnecessary problems. Run out of Foundry Street Denizen to follow that up. Unfortunately we get another Searing Blaze, hitting us in the dome and taking away our creature. But no follow-up creature from our opponents, which is reasonably good for us. He just suspends a Riftbolt there to finish out the turn. So I draw a Pile Driver, so we're going to play Pile Driver and Foundry Street Denizen here, and then hopefully next turn we can dump a load of creatures on the board and pump up our Denizen fairly substantially. So we get a Bushwhacker here, so that's great. So we're going to be able to do quite a lot of damage here. We can run out the Denizen first, which is going to get a pump from the Bushwhacker dropping after it. So the original Foundry treats Denizen becomes a 3/1, and the other one becomes, and then they get their Bushwhacker pump. So we've got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then plus the 8 from the pile driver. So yeah, the pile driver is an 8/2. So this is a lethal attack. Deal a very substantial amount of damage, and then obviously at 7, he's now using burn, one of his last 2 remaining cards in hand, to kill off the pile driver. So that's obviously good news for us in general, that he's having to do that. And down to 5, we obviously can hope to put together a lethal attack. When Reddy's runs out a Goblin Guide, which is fine by us. He's not even actually going to attack with it, because clearly he does not have the requisite card in hand to finish me off from there. Actually, I'll be at 5, so there isn't really a burn spell that kills me from there, or not one that's commonly played. I actually assume Ataka's Command is his last card in hand. We haven't actually seen that from him, have we? So yeah, his last card must be Ataka's Command, so we actually know what he's got in hand. We draw into a Reckless Bushwhacker, which is great. Absolutely perfect here, so we can run out a Legion Loyalist and then Bushwhacker, and we're going to be able to attack for a lot of damage, and that should wrap things up for this game. Obviously our opponent can attack his command, but it's not going to do a great deal for him. He doesn't even have an actual particularly good block. So yeah, that wraps it up, and we pick up the win there. Obviously always going to be a little bit tight in these sort of aggro games. They actually run more creatures in burn decks now, so that's kind of helps them out in this matchup. Obviously if it's just creatures versus burn, you have a bit of an advantage in the fact that you're just swinging freely. But yeah, I think probably going to be a close matchup either way you go. Dragon's Claw can be a bit of a breaker for you or them, depending on who gets it and who runs it, because obviously you don't want them gaining life, but it's probably more hopeful for against them, because they're just running burn spells, whereas at least permanent creatures can keep on attacking and keep dealing damage, rather than just being one-off shots at a life total. So yeah, always going to be a little bit tight, but we managed to win through on this occasion.